Beyoncé, even though she's, I guess, one of the biggest music stars ever, I find her music to be awful, unlistenable.
Same.
And just, quite honestly, just noise. It's not music. It's disgusting.
Can you believe Charlie Kirk went after one of the biggest pop icons in the world, calling Beyoncé's music not just not his taste, but outright trash, unlistenable noise, and disgusting? That's not just a casual not my vibe, it's a full-throated dismissal. But when he came for Queen Bey, it struck a nerve. For many, it wasn't just another culture war rant, it felt like yet another instance of his harshest criticisms landing on women, people of color, and marginalized voices. This hasn't just been about Beyoncé. It's opened up a wider conversation about Charlie Kirk's role in fueling the rage and division that defines so much of American discourse today. Critics argue that he didn't just stir the pot, he helped cook the toxic stew we're now drowning in. And yes, while there are plenty of discussions around the tragic and complex circumstances of his death, many are also saying we can't ignore the legacy he leaves behind, one marked by bigotry, sexism, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, and repeated attacks on communities of color. It's all been well documented and deeply damaging.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the... But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know you do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken.
Never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single victim death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete...
Unsurprisingly, Charlie Kirk's name is still trending, not just because of the shocking nature of his death, but because of the complex and divisive legacy he leaves behind. Kirk, a prominent conservative activist, staunch Trump ally, and co-founder of Turning Point USA, was killed during an event at Utah Valley University in what authorities are now investigating as a possible targeted attack. Witnesses say that while addressing a crowd of approximately 3,000 people, the first stop on a 15-city national tour organized by his conservative youth organization, Kirk was taking questions when he suddenly clutched his neck and collapsed from his chair, blood visibly pouring from a wound. Attendees screamed and fled as chaos erupted. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, where he later died from his injuries. According to reports, the shot appears to have come from the roof of the nearby Lucy Center, about 140 yards away, well within the effective range of many rifles, leading investigators to believe the shooter was highly skilled. Drone footage released after the scene was cleared shows police tape cordoning off part of that rooftop. The motive behind the attack remains unknown. The news broke on social media, with former President Donald Trump posting a tribute calling Kirk great and even legendary. Later, from the White House, Trump released a recorded video describing Kirk as a martyr for truth and freedom, blaming the incident on what he called the violent rhetoric of the radical left. Utah Governor Spencer Cox echoed that sentiment, calling the killing a political assassination and expressing concern over the state of national discourse. But beyond the headlines and the high-profile condolences, a fierce debate has erupted online about whether Kirk deserves the public mourning he's receiving. Critics have pointed to his long history of inflammatory remarks, particularly against marginalized communities, as evidence that his legacy is far from heroic. Many resurfaced a particularly disturbing moment from The Charlie Kirk Show, where he claimed that several prominent black women lacked the intelligence to succeed without affirmative action. He specifically named TV host Joy Reid, former First Lady Michelle Obama, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, all of whom he dismissed as unqualified. He said, "If we had said 3 weeks ago that Joy Reid, Michelle Obama, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called bigots. But now they're coming out and saying it for us. They're admitting, I'm only here because of affirmative action." He then played a clip of Representative Jackson Lee referencing affirmative action policies in her educational background and followed it with this statement, "It's very obvious to us you're not smart enough to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I took a spot from someone more deserving." Many have cited this kind of rhetoric, openly racist and dehumanizing, as part of the reason why his death has triggered more controversy than mourning. For them, this moment isn't just about how he died, but about the damage he did while alive and the deeply polarized nation he helped shape.
No. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course. That's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think, as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies, that turned me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly, through